uh, we get the kharif, all the crops, and so these are the rabi crops here, and we know the total rabi crop water requirement, and then we know at the end of the kharif season how much soil moisture was available, how much groundwater was available, and then the water at the rabi start can be computed from that. So so this is how the this is actually this explains this diagram. So based on this, so once we know all this, so how to prioritize the interventions and the investment. So if we know that this yellow line is the boundary of this Pedgaon village and it is a ridge, and if we take this small catchment of 70 hectares, uh, so here the deficit is more than like 40, 50 mm or 100 mm even in uh, dry seasons. So now uh, how to resolve the problem. So we know that during the dry spell, just before the dry spell started, the runoff here we can see it was around 150 mm. Sorry, 30 mm of rainfall was there. So now if there were farm ponds and small bunds in this region, then those farm ponds and the bandaras would have during the first rainfall, good rainfall event before the dry spell, and then that water could have been used by the farmers during the dry spell. So along with the drip and sprinkler system, and so these are the small interventions which can be planned based on the understanding of the water budget. Now, so so now we have seen how the water budget can actually be useful to understand the problems in the village, like where are the regions which are more vulnerable, then how much water is available at the rabi start, how much was the rabi crop water demand, how much is the deficit. All those things can be understood. And now if we want to do it for the whole Maharashtra, or for or we have to introduce in the state planning frameworks, what is required is lot of data and lot of processing, and at the same time some interpretation of those results at the village level. So here, as I said, that soil maps and soil techniques soil maps and soil techniques can be used source deficit, and then which area was less than 75 mm deficit, which one was 75 to 150 mm deficit, and which one was more than 150 mm deficit. So here we can see that this part, this red part here, is the region which is more vulnerable and which has suffered more deficit than other parts of the village. And then the yields here will be 3 to 4 quintal only, as we have seen in that ABC farmers. And so that C farmer was here, B farmer was here, and A farmer was here. So it is, you can see that green, yellow, and red. So so you can see that this changes the yields as well as the income. So now what we have to, if the Krushi Sahayak or the Taluka planner sees this, then they have to plan lot of interventions here, like compartment bunding or some contour trenches or some kind of small bunds or farm ponds, inlet outlet farm ponds. So they have to harvest runoff here so that they can actually give some watering to the kharif crop during the dry spell. So now this is based, this was the data which was one time data, that we can say soils do not change. So soil maps and the slope maps, the DEMs and the soil texture maps, all those if are in place, we can actually compute. But at the other, on the other side, what we require, the dynamic data, is the weather data. So so this all is now actually part of the project on climate resilient agriculture, POKRA, which is a government of Maharashtra run project aided by World Bank, and is actually being implemented in around 5,000 villages in Marathwada and Vidarbha region currently. So all these maps and everything is actually, they are prepared as a part of this project for all these villages. So at the same time, there are these automatic weather stations which are in place now. and which are used by the government to get the data, the daily rainfall data, temperature data, wind speed data, humidity data, etc., which are actually useful for estimation of PET and then AET almost. So also for runoff estimation, this daily rainfall data is very helpful. So we are now actually we can go to the village level and the farm level to understand what is happening, what is the water balance, who is suffering more, and then this if through the state planning frameworks, if it reaches the community, then actually the community will also be able to take the decisions. They will be able to understand what is happening at our village level, how much water is there, how much water got run off, and how much water is available for the rabi season, etc. So such kind of charts are actually being prepared and displayed in the villages in Pokhara project currently. And this is not the end. We have to go much more uh, beyond this. Jal Saksharta or water literacy has to be spread at the village level. They have to understand. There has to be discussion at the village level on water resources or water budget, instead of only how much subsidy has been given by the government, and how much subsidies uh, means what is the corruption and who gets what and all those things. So we have to sorry so we have to uh, uh, take this to the community. So for the so how to do this is, so we have to actually, so there are main, so on the one side there is some supply side requirement also. So water is not sufficient at the village level, that is clear from all the field visits that we do. And there has to be more supply side interventions, surely, but at the same time there has to be demand management also, and at these both levels we have to keep on working, and this is only possible through some kind of demand supply allocation framework, which actually this planning framework is based on. So yeah, so such a framework needs to be strengthened more, and the state planning processes and the state uh, staff which is actually working on the ground needs to be strengthened more with this, with such kind of frameworks and tools. That's it. Thanks. Yeah, so are there any questions? Hello.
It was
Hello.
wonderful session, sir. Wonderful session. Hello.
Yes, thanks. Yeah.
Anyone want to ask questions or give any feedback? They can unmute yourself and just share your questions or your feedback.